Answer the top 10 interview questions and get paid what you're worth. Tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? What's your biggest weakness? Why are you leaving your current role? What's your target salary compensation? Answer the top 10 interview questions and get paid what you're worth. Real talk. Interviews don't go to the best candidate on paper. They go to the person who shows the clearest value and feels like a great fit in the room. Today, I'm going to coach you on the top 10 interview questions step by step that can help you craft answers and land offers. I've led hiring as a manager and CEO, and I've even sat on the other side as an employee, so I know exactly how decisions get made. Stay to the end because I'm also going to give you a plug-and-play salary answer that gets you paid more without blowing up the conversation. If you're serious about your next offer, tap subscribe and join the Career Amplified community for coaching, templates, and live practice. Let's get you the job. Quick pit stop. I put together a free PDF called 6 Interview Tips that can help you get the job. It covers what to research, how to decode the job description, what to ask at the end, how to show confidence without sounding cocky, and remember that you're interviewing them too. It's a fast checklist you can use before any interview. Download the free interview tips guide now. You can grab it from the first link in the description or the pinned comment. And keep watching. We're about to tackle the trickiest questions with confidence. Okay, I'm going to tell you how to use this video. It's a matter of mindset and method. I do have 2 promises for you. First, I'm not going to give you scripts to memorize. I'm giving you frameworks you'll adapt to your voice. Secondly, we'll translate every answer into what the employer is actually asking. Here's a tip. Pause after every segment. Write your version and rehearse out loud once. You'll show up prepared and not robotic. Now, here are the top 10 questions. Question number 1. Tell me about yourself. Now, this is your value pitch. What they're really asking is, why are you the best fit for this exact role? And tell me fast. The Career Amplified framework, remember TRST. Title and timeline, where you've been, results, numbers, outcomes, strengths that match this job, and tie back. Why here? Why now? Now, here's an example of what you can say for, let's say, a customer success manager role. Over the past 8 years, I've led customer success at 3 Fortune 500s. In my last role, I lifted retention from 70% to 86% and cut time to value by 20% in 1 quarter. My strengths are onboarding, design, stakeholder comms, and turning churn into expansion. I applied here because you're scaling CS for enterprise onboarding, and I've done exactly that, including adding $4,000 in revenue per account from lifecycle improvements. Now, here are some pitfalls. Sharing your life story, generic strengths with no receipts, and no tie back to the role. Now, here's a practice prompt. Write your TRST in 5 to 7 sentences. Trim any sentence that's not tied to the job. Question number 2. Walk me through your resume. Well, talk about what's relevant. What they're really asking is, connect the dots for me. Why does your background make sense for this role? Now, here's a framework. Think FTP. Filter, translate, prove. Filter, only roles relevant to this job. Translate, map each role to this job's outcomes. Prove, add 1 crisp metric or story per role. For example, here's what you can say. I'll focus on what maps to this role. At Acme, I owned onboarding ops. We cut TTV by 27% after I rebuilt the playbook. At North Star, I launched renewals forecast with finance that hit plus or minus 3% accuracy for Q3. Those pieces, onboarding, renewal rigor, and cross-functional comms, are exactly what you've listed in the CS manager posting. Now, here are the pitfalls. Reading your resume line by line. listing duties instead of outcomes. Now, here's a practice prompt. Pick 3 roles. For each one, write a sentence, a responsibility that equals a result that mirrors the job's JD. Question number 3. Why do you want to work here? They're looking for company-centric fit. So what they're really asking is, have you done your homework? Do our missions, values, products actually excite you? Okay, now here's a framework. 3 R's: research, recognition, and right fit. Research, show something specific you learned. Recognition, connect it with your values and work style. Right fit, explain what makes you effective here. For example, I've read your 2024 customer story on reducing onboarding from 45 to 18 days. That's my jam. I value measurable customer wins, and that's built into your roadmap. That's why I'm excited. I can bring my onboarding playbooks and renewal discipline to help hit your target of 90% GRR this year. Now, I'm going to share some pitfalls with this. If you discuss pay, benefits, and remote talk, they assume these are table stakes. Vague flattery. You're a great company. This isn't convincing. Now, here's a practice prompt. List 3 specifics: mission, value, product, news. For each, write 1 sentence on why it energizes you and how you'll contribute. Question number 4. What's your biggest weakness? They're looking for self-awareness and mitigation. So what they're really asking is, can you see yourself clearly? Do you close gaps without hand-holding? Think of framework R3M. Real, not fake humble. Role safe, won't sink this job. Remedied, steps taken. And measured, evidence of improvement. Here's an example of what can be said. I can over-index on analysis and slow a decision. I've been countering it with 48-hour decision rules and good enough thresholds. In Q2, we shipped 2 experiments 2 weeks faster on average with the same quality bar. And of course, there are some pitfalls. Saying things like, I'm a perfectionist or I work too hard. Picking on weaknesses that are core to the role, definitely something to avoid. Now, here's a quick practice prompt. Choose 1 real role-safe weakness. Write 1 mitigation and 1 metric that shows progress. Question number 5. What makes you unique? They want to see distinctive combination plus proof. So what they're really asking is, why you over 5 similar finalists? The framework for this is UP, which is unique pairing and proof. Combine 2 skills that rarely travel together. Prove it with a result. Here's an example of what you can say. What makes me unique? Well, my creative campaign chops plus operational rigor. I led a refresh and rebuilt our content ops to 2-week sprints and increased it by 38% engagement and a 30% cycle time reduction in 1 quarter. Now, avoid these pitfalls, saying, I care more. Well, prove it. Listing generic traits. They want to hear specifics to separate you from the rest. Now, here's a practice prompt. Write 1 unexpected pairing you truly have. 1 metric, proving it mattered. Question number 6. Why are you leaving your current role? They want to understand push versus pull. So what they're really asking is, are there any red flags that we'll inherit? Is this person going to be a problem? Now, here's a framework. Think NPR. Neutral past, positive pull, role match. Keep the past succinct and neutral. Emphasize what's attracting you here. Tie it with the role's needs. And here's an example, of course, of what you can say. I've learned a ton and I'm proud of the work I've done. The org is staying SMB and I'm excited to work enterprise scale with deeper onboarding challenges. Exactly what this team is tackling this year. Now, here are the pitfalls. Trashing people and companies. Saying things like, not to talk about very bad move. Over-explaining the past. They don't want to hear it. Now, here's a practice prompt. Write one neutral sentence on leaving, two pull sentences on why this team. Question number 7. What are your career aspirations? They want to understand what the horizon, mission, flexibility, and backfill will look like. What they're really asking is, will you stay long enough to make this worthwhile? And will you leave responsibly when you do? The framework for this is HMFB. Horizon, realistic time frame. Mission, the one thing you want to build and own. Flexibility, openness as the org evolves. And backfill, you'll document and replace yourself. Here's an example of what you can say. In the next 3 to 4 years, I want to build a predictable onboarding engine from first value to renewal. I'm flexible on scope as needs change, and when it's time to grow, I can document deeply and backfill my seat so that the team never misses a beat. Now, here are some pitfalls. Saying, I want your job in 1 year. No time frame, no mission. Now, here's a practice prompt. Write one sentence you can deliver in 3 to 4 years. Question number 8. What are you looking for in a new position? They want to understand the environment that you thrive in for peak output. So, what they're really asking is, where do you do your best work and how does that match us? The framework for this is EAS: environment, autonomy, support. Describe the setting that you're effective. Clarify how you use autonomy. Name the support and clarity that you value. Here's an example of what you can say. I do my best in outcome-driven teams, clear targets, autonomy to build, and leadership clarity on constraints. That balance lets me move fast without creating chaos. Here are some pitfalls. A wish list of perks, red flag. Demands without contribution, another red flag. Now, the practice prompt, finish this. I'm most effective when targets are X. I own X, and leadership provides X. Question number 9. Do you have any questions for me? This question signals seriousness and fit. What they're really asking, are you thoughtful enough to evaluate us and will you ramp up quickly? Ask these 3 questions and adapt it to the wording to your role. 1. JD specific. In the job description, you mentioned X metric, tool, and process. Where is it today and what's the Q3 target? 2. Exceed expectations. In the first 90 days, what would exceeding expectations look like? 3. Onboarding 30, 60, 90. How do you approach onboarding and what does a strong 30, 60, 90-day plan include here? And just for you, I'm going to share some bonus questions for you. What do your top performers do differently? Where has the team been stuck? What's been tried? And here are the pitfalls. No questions. Instant red flag. Asking about comp and benefits now, save this for later or at a later stage. Here's a practice prompt. Write 3 questions, one on the job description, one on excellence definition, and one on onboarding depth. And lastly, question number 10. Why should I hire you? Sometimes implicit, they want you to close a sale. So what they're really asking is, why are you the safest, highest upside bet? Here's a framework. Think FPF, fit, proof, future. Fit, mirror their needs in their words. Proof, one result that maps directly. Future, the first 90-day impact. Here's a sample script. I believe you're hiring for faster onboarding, higher GRR, and cleaner renewals. I've delivered that at 2 companies, 20% faster TTV, and an increase of a 16-point retention. In my first 90 days, I'll ship a pilot onboarding playbook, stand up risk flags, and hit your Q2 renewal calendar on time. Here are some pitfalls. Generic confidence. I'm a hard worker. And no 90-day picture. And finally, here's a practice prompt. Write your fit-proof future in 4 sentences or fewer. Okay, now I'd like to share a bonus question that they will likely ask, and it's a big one. What's your target salary compensation? They want to see that you're confident and have researched the range. Something to note though, laws may vary by location, so many employers ask for range rather than current pay. Framework for this is called range. Research market, understand titles, geo, level, salary.com, credible reports. Anchor with a range you can justify. Narrate the research briefly. Give a preference, maybe it's the top half. And end collaborative. You can say something like open to explore based on scope, equity, and bonus. Here's an example of what can be said. Based on market data for the senior CS managers with 8 years experience in Toronto, I'm targeting 110K to 130K base, ideally toward the top of that range, given my onboarding results and renewal outcomes. I'm open to holistic packages depending on scope, bonus, and equity. Now, here are the pitfalls. Wild overshoots that ignore market reality, locking into a single number too early. Personally, in my recruitment experience, it can be quite annoying when a candidate answers a question with a question. So try not to do this and ask a question like, what's the salary range for this role? They'll think you're playing games. Here's a practice prompt. Write your range with 1 sentence of why, considering market and impact. Now, I'd like to share with you some mini playbooks. You can use these anytime. The 30-second story. For most answers, think SPAR, similar to STAR. So, situation, 1 line, problem, the friction, action, what you did, and result, metric and impact. So, an example of the situation could be churn spike in our mid-market segment. Problem, our onboarding was generic. Action, I built a 3-track curriculum by use case and trained CSMs. Result, mid-market churn dropped 4 points in 2 quarters. Now let me say it all again, referencing the SPAR method. Churn spiked in our mid-market segment. Our onboarding was generic. I built 3-track curriculum by use case and trained CSMs. Mid-market churn dropped 4 points in 2 quarters. Sound great, doesn't it? If this helped, subscribe and share it with a friend who's interviewing. If you want coaching, practice sessions, templates, including a done-for-you 30, 60, 90-day plan, and salary talk trackers, join Career Amplified. The link's below. In closing, let me say this about top 10 interview questions. You're not just answering questions, you're showing value. So go win your offer and get paid.